Now to Iran. The powerful men in their government are at it again, targeting women, curbing their freedoms. Yesterday, Iran's parliament approved a new bill, a Hijab and Chastity bill. It sounds as oppressive as it sounds. It severely punishes violations of Iran's dress code. Not wearing a hijab could now mean a jail term for up to 10 years. 10 years over a dress code violation. And look at the timing. This comes about a year after the death of Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old who was killed over a hijab because she was apparently not wearing it properly. That set off protests across Iran. People wanted freedom from this oppression. And what did their leaders do? They doubled down. Here's a report.
It's been just over a year since Iran was engulfed in protests. Protests that began with the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. She died on the 16th of September last year. She died after being detained by Iran's notorious morality police. Her crime? Not wearing her hijab properly, apparently. Amini's death set off some of the biggest protests Iran had seen. People marched through the streets chanting, "Woman, life, freedom." So now the politicians of Iran have decided to crush women's lives and freedom even further. Yesterday, Iran's parliament passed the Hijab and Chastity bill. It's as though the previous punishments for violating dress restrictions have been given sanctimonious steroids. And what are these restrictions? Women above the age of puberty have to cover up. Their hair must be hidden behind a hijab. Nothing below the neck should be seen, nor anything above the ankle. Forearm exposure is allowed, but nothing above that. Clothing should neither be revealing nor tight-fitting. Loose and long-fitting clothing obscuring one's figure is preferred. These are the rules. They remain the same as before. They are based on Iran's official interpretation of Sharia law. Iran's clerics imposed these restrictions. The public has to obey. They have no choice.
If anyone for any reason does not have a strong belief in the hijab, the obligation to follow the law is still what creates a lawful society.
So what does the new law change? It's the punishment for breaking the dress restrictions that's been increased. Earlier, Iranian women could face 10 days to 2 months in jail for breaking these rules. Now, prison time can go up 5 to 10 years. There's a monetary fine component as well. Earlier, it was between 5,000 to $500,000 Iranian riyals. That's around 12 cents to $12. Now the fine will be between 180 million and 360 million riyals. That's about 4,200 to 8,500 US dollars. It has increased 700-fold. The new punishments are nothing short of draconian. The new bill also compels government, law enforcement and military organizations to enforce the mandatory hijab law. Businesses will also be prosecuted for encouraging nudity, lack of chastity or bad covering in any way. There are also fines for promoting nudity or making fun of the hijab in the media and on social networks. Violating the dress code in an organized manner, such as during protests like those seen last year, could lead to 10 years in jail. Basically, the new law is a hammer to any dissent against the hijab. Iran's new Hijab and Chastity bill was passed by the country's parliament yesterday. It wasn't a unanimous decision, but most lawmakers wanted it passed. 152 voted in favor, 34 against, and 7 abstained. Only about 6% of Iran's parliamentarians are women, so these harsh new punishments were designed by men. A few did oppose the new bill.
We believe in an appropriate Islamic dress code in society. We have to have the necessary rules, and those who do not obey those rules or attempted to disrupt the community should be punished. But this bill is not the one we are in need of. The appropriate dress code regulation that we have in mind has a logical social support. This bill is not what we are looking for.
But the moderates were shut down and the hardliners passed the crushing new law. The bill isn't a permanent law yet. It still needs to be approved by Iran's Guardian Council. But these 12 men appointed by the clerics are likely to pass it. The only upside is it will initially be for a trial period of 3 years. If there's enough pushback, it may get withdrawn after that period elapses. But with Iran's regime tightening its grip, how much scope is there really left for any pushback?